with Manchester United, predominantly because it's been announced today that young Kobe Mainu is going to miss somewhere in the region of 6 to 7 weeks. It could even be up to 3 months with an injury he sustained just before the international break. The manager has come out today defending himself, basically saying the underlying metrics, the basics of what we're doing is really good. We just got to improve the results. The team do look in decent spirits in training, to be fair, but what millionaire footballer doesn't look in good spirits? Most of them do. Staffy, how are you feeling about the game tomorrow against Brentford, which is also now against the man who is odds-on favourite to replace Ten Hag if he indeed loses? It feels like a very interesting weekend for Man United.
Where do I start? I haven't spoke about Ten Hag in a week, so I feel a bit rusty. I took this international break quite literally as a break to not talk about United, to not think about United. And unfortunately, United are back tomorrow. So the spirits are not that high. I know Lawless said it's Friday, it's sunny outside. Yeah, that's for everyone who's not a United fan. There's nothing for me to look forward to, other than the job is not finished. So you know what it is. What's his name? Thomas Frank, or the Kobe, job not finished. So go get the job finished, Thomas Frank. Get rid of this manager for me. The Mainu injury does not surprise me. I spoke about this after the Spurs game. Actually, I spoke about this a while before the Spurs game. I said the way we're using Mainu like he's prime N'Golo Kante, it's good for stats. It's good for people to retweet on Twitter, say, hey, haha, look how many tackles he's won, look how many duels he's won, look how many clearances he has. Da, 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 da. He was never meant to play football that way. He's not that type of footballer. We said he's covering too much ground. He's being ran to the ground. He literally had a busy summer and didn't have a preseason and was starting for us in the Community Shield game. So it eventually caught up to us. Who would have thought? We sat here and we predicted an injury and it happened. But hey, the Ten Hag will tell you that he's just unlucky. He obviously got injured in the Spurs game, got subbed off early. A week later, we saw him in an Aston Villa game. But I was meant to believe that day that the reason our center-back partnership didn't play was because of rotation. Well, how come you rushed back the player that was injured just a week prior? So what, you only rested him one game in the Europa League and brought him back? Mind you had Ugarte who was sitting on a back-to-back, did not play back-to-back games, and he didn't play him that day. So this manager's once again a liar. And listen, nothing new. He gaslighted us again in the press today, saying it's fairy tales, is that. This is not a fairy tale. This is a nightmare. And I thought I'd wake up from it this weekend. Sorry, not this weekend, this international break. And it didn't happen. And he's here. So there's more hell coming for us as United fans.
It's good to hear. It's good to hear. I'm glad you're having such a great day, Staffy. Like when I look at it, Thomas Frank is such an interest. I mean, would you really accept obviously Ten Hag going and Thomas Frank being the guy to replace him?
Thomas Frank outcoached Ten Hag every time he played him. So it doesn't matter if I want him. The matter is the facts say that every time he plays him, he coaches him. He gave him his welcome to the Premier League moment. 4-0 on his head 3 years ago. Did we forget that? Last year, the most touches in the opposition's box, 85. We were lucky to leave that game. Remember that game? Mason Mount came on and he scored that one goal and then they tied right away. Should have never left with a point that game. And we're the first game of the season, McTominay, 2 headers in the 92nd and 97th minute. Every time he plays this manager, he gets outcoached.
Yeah, but that's a reason why you think he will lose. But is that a reason why you think he'll be a good fit for Man United?
I didn't say that. I'm saying the matter of the facts is he's a better manager than him. I don't need to want him to know that he's better than him.
Okay, so anyone that's better, So anyone that's better, even though you think Ten Hag is that bad, so obviously there must be loads of managers better. You just take anyone because they're not Ten Hag.
I didn't say that though.
So that's what I'm asking.
You're asking me my opinion on Thomas Frank. I said he's outcoached Ten Hag every time he faced him. Would he be my first option? Of course not. But if we got Ten Hag, is it an improvement? Yes, it is.
Would you be happy with Thomas Frank if you went and got him?
It's not a matter of being happy. I know we'd improve. I know we'd be better. He's not what I want. He's probably not top 3 of what I want. but I am aware that he comes in, he makes us a better team. He spent 6 years with Brentford. I don't know how many of them in the Premier League, 3 of them, 4 of them. He's done a decent job for a much lower team. You can sit there and smirk and do all you want. I told you, you got the Spanish David Moyes in your team. So
You're
you should
going
be
political. I see what you're doing. That's why. I see
I'm
what
just
you're
saying,
doing.
Thomas Frank would be better than your manager as
Yeah,
well. So if you ask him if he's
yeah.
a good manager, he is better than Ten Hag. Do I
Yeah.
want him? No. If he came in, I'll say this. If Thomas Frank would have came in this international break, I wouldn't necessarily say that's what I wanted, but I would be okay with it. Like I wouldn't sit here and rage, be like, I didn't get what I wanted. Because I know there would be like day and night type of improvement in this team. This is how bad. Like I don't think you understand how much I don't rate Ten Hag. He's generally like in my opinion right now, from what I've seen,
Anymore.
he's top.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
He's like
look.
bottom
Sorry
25%
to
in the league.
interject. This is the thing with the question of doing there, Lawless. It's very leading, right? We of course want the best manager in the world to come and manage us, but there's the difference between what we want and where we're at. The thing is as well, you've gone for look at the managers in your heart of hearts. Barely any of the players you sign you really want, because you want the in reality as a West Ham fan, you want the players that City and Liverpool and Chelsea and Arsenal and Real Madrid are signing because they're the best players in the world. But you know the reality of who and where you are as a football club.
Yeah.
Man United fans, we are Man United by name right now. We are Man United historically. We know, again, you read enough reports on it. Alonso said no in the summer. Tuchel has clearly said no because there's an opportunity that there's going to be a job opening at Man United. He has clearly preferred the option of going to manage England as an example. I would love a manager who we would all look at their CV and say, much better than Thomas Frank. But I don't know if that's attainable and achievable. And people will throw things like, well, you know, Man United's new owner said we need to aim for the best in class. Yes, aiming for the best in class, but being able to sign them are two different things. Man United right now, I don't think we could sign the best player in the world. I know for a fact we can't sign the best manager in the world. We need to improve. Thomas Frank, this kind of a tactic from rivals will be, oh, you're happy that Ten Hag's gone, but then it will twist straight into, well, let's try and make him feel shit about the new guy that's coming in as well. It's a way of making us feel crap no matter what happens.
Yeah, but you're missing. I think you're missing the sort of nature of my question, because I'm not asking in terms of, you know, do you want, would you rather an Ancelotti? It's in relation to where you are now. So as West Ham, I was buzzing when we signed Kudus and Todibo and all. Yeah, okay, like dream is Neymar and all Messi, them players like that. But my happiness is in relation to the players that we're signing where we are as a club. So Thomas Frank, what I'm asking, would you be happy with Thomas Frank? Not because, you know, you're Manchester United and you should be getting more than that, but in relation to where you are now, do you think that
yes, we're a 14th place team in the Premier League.
I just thought he'd been an improvement. So
Thomas Frank would
be
the
best you can get. That's what I'm saying. Is he the best?
Well, maybe if you look again, this is why I get. I'm not frustrated at you. I'm frustrated in general because it's very hard to have an honest conversation with people about Man United. There's banter to be had, and we can take it on the chin. But every time you try and get serious, the goalposts get moved every 5 minutes. So people will say you can't attract the best. Then we'll say, cool, then we'll settle for Frank. Are you really happy with that? But you know we can't get better than that. Like it becomes a fucking hamster wheel conversation.
But that's the question. So you can't. Is he out of all the managers you could get?
Potentially.
And then we have to
look at it. Just go and look at all the managers that are genuinely linked to us. None of them are of that Champions League winning level. They're not.
So could you not do a Chelsea? Like, is there not a maybe a manager that plays an exciting brand of football up and coming like a Maresca?
But Thomas Frank does play. Thomas Frank does play a good brand of football. He just chops and changes depend on the opponent that he's against. I don't think Man United taking on Thomas Frank is a bigger risk than Chelsea going for Maresca or Arsenal going for Arteta. I wouldn't look at that as, oh my God, United have made a decision here that could make or break the club. It is so left field. No one's ever done this before. Those two clubs have. You know, he is a Premier League level manager who on a shoestring, listen, their new stadium at Brentford costs less than all of our club's top signings. That's how small they are financially on a shoestring budget in comparison to the rest of us, survives every year in the Premier League, plays nice football, has got multiple scalps against really, really good teams. He can adapt depending upon his opponents. I think he's a very good Premier League manager.
Well, scores a lot of goals as well. Something Ten Hag
they score goals. All his teams defend well by and large, you know. And for me, do I look at the Thomas Frank potential appointment and think I think he'll win us the league in 3 years? No. Do I think we can become a better team while we grow this squad and make the squad better and stronger over the next 3 to 4 years? Yeah, I do, and I like him as a manager. I'm not jumping from the rafters, going wow. Equally, I'm not sitting here panicking, thinking, "Oh my god, we bought another dud." I'll be quite excited to see what he could do. To be honest,
it is interesting that no other sort of top teams have really gone. Like Chelsea, obviously, they didn't really go for him. Spurs, like he's been one of these managers, I think, that's always been talked about by fans as someone that could be an option, but it doesn't seem like any real top clubs have seriously gone for him, which is
because he's not a top manager. He's just a good manager. That's what I'm trying to say. He's a proper Premier League manager.
So Maresca, was he a top manager when Chelsea signed him? Was Ange Postecoglou a top manager? That's what I'm saying. His name wasn't even he wasn't even interviewed for those.
Exactly. But here's the thing: I put Marco Silva, I put Thomas Frank. There's certain managers that are good Premier League managers that exist in the Premier League that most of us big teams wouldn't really look at as that guy who's gonna sustain either a level I'm at, if you're a City or a Liverpool, whatever, or get you to that winning level, whether you're a Chelsea right now or even an Arsenal with Arteta. The reason Chelsea went for Maresca as an example was because they think his ceiling could reach that, because there's so much unknown in his career yet. They could sit there and say, you know what, we've seen the way he played football in his how long has he been managing for? Like 2 years, something like. He hasn't been managing for a while. He was Pep's assistant. So they look at him and they're like, you know what, there is a high ceiling if we put him in a good team and we nurture him well and we give him the tools that he needs to succeed. They look at him the same way Arteta was looked at by Arsenal. That is different than a Thomas Frank. I don't think Thomas Frank is a league-winning level manager. However, he's a very good Premier League manager. He can go into any team, in my opinion, and make you a good enough team to stay at least where you are, if not, in United's case, improve. Because look at Brentford. He took Brentford. Obviously, they were just promoted. And 3-4 years, they're always mid-table. They finish a little bit higher in the league a couple seasons ago. So he's capable enough to make decent players. Sorry, not even decent players. Average players look decent and finish in a decent spot in the league. And that's what United need right now. This is what I'm saying. I wouldn't want him because I know in a couple years I'll still need another upgrade on him. However, I look at him and I know right away this guy comes in, he at least takes me somewhere back in the top 6. No doubt in my mind whatsoever.
Yeah, I want to see it because I'm curious to see how we do.
Yeah, well, I think on top of that, I mean, he was heavily linked. Sorry, Don. Sorry, he was heavily linked to Chelsea, and Chelsea reached out to him. He just said no at the time. So go back to I think it was May last year. So Chelsea did, and again, look, I understood. I mean, it looks very good for Maresca right now. I understand why some managers in the last year would have said no to Chelsea. The same as I understand why managers have been saying no to Man United in the last year. It's a very strong report over the international break that Alonso turned us down in the summer. And Maresca's helped turn things around. But when it goes wrong for a long period of time at a football club, and even worse at United compared to Chelsea, lots of people are put off by that. Players, managers, coaches, scouts, because they think if it's a poison chalice, I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't. And I do have a question here from Maradon before I go to you, Don. Sorry. He says, so Frank can manage hungry players. How would he manage overpriced bums? That's the question. But this is what I want to throw out to everybody that's kind of laughing at Thomas Frank. Instead of just shitting on every manager we're linked with, who is the manager that can start to improve us and do you think that's attainable and can start to improve us? If your answer is Man United are just going to be crap forever, then I know you're trolling. So you don't like Thomas Frank, Maradon. Loads of you are laughing at it. Tell us who the guy is. Tell us who the attainable manager is that starts to improve Man United. If you can't give us a name, then or even a suggestion of the type of manager. So you don't even need to name him. Give me an idea of what that person does, the type of club they're at now, the way they manage. Give us an idea. Can you articulate it?
Another thing on this comment, I can't wait to get another manager for that word where he said overpriced bumps. I'm so tired of people thinking the team is full of bumps. I'm so tired of it. The whole team is not bums. I don't know how many times I need to say this. The whole team is not bad. You think everyone who's been here before Ten Hag and after Ten Hag came in is a bum. That's just completely illogical. These players, most of them, go onto international break, and we see them all bowling with their countries. All of them.
Even Bruno.
I know you were gonna
Bruno.
fucking say that, and that's why I didn't want to use that example. Give it up with this Bruno thing. Everyone who goes on an international break looks half decent at least. There's no way you're telling me they're all bums when they all play good football before they come to United with their countries and after they leave United. I'm hearing the Canio coming out and saying, "Why did we sell McTominay?" Come on. Like, what more evidence do you guys need that this manager is the reason everyone's bad? I wouldn't say